So today we are talking about the factors of production, or more commonly known as economic resources. So for every business, there are basic resources that are required in order to run the business. And it's really important when creating a venture plan that we are able to make a very thorough and complete list, as well as source the suppliers and understand the costs. So the term factors of production is correct. However, most people think then that unless they manufacture a good, then these don't exist, which is not true. Every business has factors of production. And so sometimes using that term of economic resources or resources required is more beneficial. So, as was mentioned, your economic resources or factors of productions is basically the means through which goods and services are made available to customers. Everything that is needed to make this business run and for us to be able to get that final product to our customers. There are three main categories for this. There are natural resources, human resources, and capital resources, and we're going to go through each one. So first is what we call a natural resource. So a natural resource, another term for it is raw materials. And these are things that come from the earth, water, and air. Okay, so most items in our business that we're going to be using, raw materials, ingredients, if we're making food, supplies is another term that is used, is going to fall into this category. Okay, there is sometimes a little bit of confusion with natural resources because we often assume that there are only the things that come straight out of the earth in that first step, right? So wood is cut from a tree. We understand that that comes from the earth. Anything that's grown, okay, animals, oxygen, minerals that are found in the earth. But again, most things, most supplies that we use, toilet paper, for example, or printer paper, they are natural resources because they did come from a natural resource originally. Okay, so when you think natural resources, you can really think supplies. What are the things that we need and are going to get used in our business to be able to run our business? The next category is what we call human resources, and this is people. This is labor is another term for it, okay? So anytime you need a human being to do something, this is a human resource, okay? So there's lots of different categories for it, and we're actually going to go into a little bit more detail about how to successfully use your human resources in your business and plan for it and hire them. But it is one of the categories of resources that is needed for every business. And finally, we have what is called capital resources. So capital's resources, they are items that are used to produce our goods and services. However, they're not the things that really get used up. They're really kind of the big items. Generally for capital resources, we say they should last, multiple years. Okay, they're usually a bigger investment, but they are those bigger things. Buildings, equipment, tools, vehicles, and money itself. Okay, all those things that are needed to produce a good. So as I mentioned, these are categories, and these categories are meant to just help you figure out all of the things that you're going to need. So when you sit down to make your venture plan and plan out your new business, you need to make a list of resources that are required. That's an absolute necessary part of every venture plan. How you're going to do that? Well, start by making a list or a chart, okay? It's going to be fairly unorganized at first, but just get the data down. How you can come up with things. First, go through the production process that you have already come up with, okay? If when you go through that production process, somebody's going to call ahead of time and make an appointment. Well, we're going to need a phone, so let's put that on the list. We're going to need a phone plan, so let's put that on the list. We're going to need somebody to answer that phone, so let's put that on the list, okay? Going through each of those steps and listing out all of those items, okay? It is also important when you're making that chart to list out, how often you might need to be purchasing those. Is this a monthly purchase? Is this an ongoing purchase, or is this, this table or this desk? It's a one-time thing that we need from day one. Okay. Once you've gone through the production process, I encourage you to think through it again, but this time by going through the categories. Okay, so start with human resources. Have you thought of all the people that you envision in your business? Okay, maybe we didn't think of a cleaner because as a customer, or as the production process, we maybe didn't see that part. Okay, again, natural resources and capital resources. Okay, what are we using? And then finally, I encourage you to think it through one more time as the customer. Okay. Generally, if we use our mental abilities to envision ourselves as a customer and what we want to see when we walk through, this is where we're going to pick up on some other items, possibly decoration for a storefront, window displays that we maybe didn't think of before, not necessary for, what we originally thought of the production process, but that should be a step that we go back and add because somebody needs to do that. This is often where we catch things like toilet paper and cleaning supplies for a bathroom or some of those other things as well. Okay, so just making sure you kind of really are continuing to revamp that production process and create this really thorough list of what exactly you need and how often you're going to be buying it or using it or paying it. Okay. And then just when you think you're done, there's one more thing that you need to do, and that is to figure out where you're going to buy these things and figure out what the cost is. Okay. You are very much encouraged as a business to look at business suppliers. Okay. You're going to want to be developing and negotiating contract with suppliers. You don't want to be going, to the grocery store for the food for your restaurant because there is a much higher price on that. But if you've been able to go through the list really thoroughly and you know exactly how much you need and when, you're going to be able to probably negotiate some of those supplier lists better, or find some of those locations a little different because generally when you buy in bulk, when you buy more, you can get it for a lower cost. So that is your economic resources and what you need to do to come up with a list of required resources. For your final step, I encourage you to have somebody else look over the list, talk it through with somebody else, or even have somebody in the industry look through it and let you know if there's anything that you've missed.
Thank you so much for watching today's lesson, brought to you by Plugin to Learning. All the resources used in this video are linked in the description below. If you have any questions, feel free to comment. And to continue learning with us, please subscribe.